Give it here a minute or so. We'll get some people on here. Man, what do you think of that fancy music, Josh?
I was jamming out, man. Sounded good.
I like it when they give me new little toys to play with on this StreamYard stuff. It's kind of fun. But
there you go.
So, we don't have anyone on yet. There's one. We're gonna get going here in just a second. We got Josh Boothe with us tonight from MoYak, All American, and I don't know what else are you doing, Josh?
That's it.
That's it. Right now, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But wanted to just kind of go through our normal announcements real quick before we get into conversation with Josh. Tell you guys a story. About 15 years ago, I had the opportunity to go on a trip down to El Salto, down in Mexico. And if you guys don't know El Salto, it's kind of a world famous bass lake in Mexico, and pretty cool place. Back then, I was kind of into fishing. I wasn't into it like I am now. I was just kind of into it, and I didn't really have a whole lot of good like rod reel setups. So right before I left, my wife surprised me with a pretty nice setup that she went and bought it at Shields, and took it down with me. Fished great, had a great time down there, and I had that combo for, gosh, I don't know, maybe 7 years or something. And after 7 years, the reel, and I don't even remember what brand it was, the reel started making some funky noise or something. So I took it back to Shields, and they took it back. No questions asked. They took it back and gave me a new one. And I thought, wow, that's cool. Another year went by, and I think I set the hook on a tree stump, busted the rod, took it back to Shields. They hooked me up with a new one, no problem. 2 years later, I'm slinging a big rat bait, way too heavy for the setup that I'm fishing. Popped a couple eyelets, took it down there, and they didn't have the same rod in stock, but they had this the Shields Ibisu series Pro, the Ibisu Pro in stock. And I talked to a guy that still had a really good warranty on it, so he hooked me up with that. And about 3 weeks ago, I had a trailer mishap and broke 3 rods. And one of them was this Ibisu Pro. Totally my fault. Took it down to Shields. No questions asked. Didn't ask for my ID. Didn't ask for a receipt. Nothing. And gave me a brand new spanking rod. So pretty good deal.
Well, that's pretty cool.
They're fantastic partners. We're happy to have them on as our title sponsor. They've been really good to us. We don't have quite the same amount of tackle shops like you guys got down there. No, we're all pretty much chains except for some small tackle shops across the border over there in Iowa. But we're happy to be partners with us for sure. They're good people, good product. They've just been really good to us. Also want to give a thanks to our friends over at ProPlum. They are hooking us. They've hooked us up with an hourly big bass prize this year.
Sweet.
$25 an hour every hour. All of our tournaments, starting with Wanahoo here in just a couple of weeks. So good people. Ben and Josh are over there. Fellow anglers. Ben's in a boat club. Josh Swigert, he fishes with us. You guys need any help with your plumbing, be sure to give them a call. 402-679-3535. Also want to talk about Jersey Sports Bar in Pavilion. Great people. Been big supporters of the club now for 2 years. We'll be back there for some events that we'll have later in the year. And we talk about it every week. Great place to go grab a beer, burger, and hang out with friends. So, of course, also thanks to RoboHawk. Josh, one of the first tournaments I fished with MoYak, with you guys. You guys did this thing where everybody was like throwing baits in a bucket, and then you did a drawing, and whoever won. So we took that, right?
Yeah.
For Central States, and we talked to Ben over at RoboHawk, who's a great guy, and
Absolutely.
we said, hey Ben, is this something you want to work with us on? And he said, yeah, absolutely. And so they sponsor it. They gave us some product to put in these, and it's been a big success for it. And I think the anglers really like it.
Yeah, it's a fun thing to do that doesn't really cost much. You can just grab something out of your tackle box, or maybe even pick up a lure from maybe one of the host venues. If you got a tackle shop sponsoring the event or something, it kind of spreads the love and gives you a chance to win some tackle. And RoboHawk, man, everybody needs those tethers for sure. I mean, I tether everything with RoboHawk tethers. So I probably have 5 or 6 of them on my kayak.
Absolutely. They're a great sponsor for us, and I know they're a great sponsor for you guys as well. They also for a long time. They also worked with Hermson Custom Lures and threw us some baits to get in that thing as well. So kind of a fun deal. Awesome. We like that for sure. And last but not least, we also want to just make sure we say thanks to American Solutions for Business and Star Deli over in Benson for their support of the club. And real quick, before we get into the conversation with Josh, we had a tournament at Carter Lake this last weekend. It was brutal. It was cold. It was maybe like 30 degrees at launch, about 20-mile-an-hour winds. Water temps were they were mid 40s, and we had an angler go for a swim.
Oh, that's always scary. That's one of my worst nightmares, is having something like that happen in a tournament.
Yeah, that's the phone call you hate to get as a tournament director, for sure. We worry about these guys, but tough day. We had 21 anglers, only 17 fish were caught, and guess who won it?
The guy that flipped?
Marty Hughes.
Oh, yeah. Marty wins everywhere he goes. That's no surprise.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? So Marty, and he won it with 4 fish. He also got big bass with the 20-inch, which I want to show you. Let me see.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and wager that he was probably throwing a Nico rig. You think it's possible?
There may be some truth to that. Yeah. So I'm going to show this. There's his 20-inch, which was a nice fish.
Oh yeah, that's a toad.
Yeah, Casey Day over there at AAKS.
Yeah.
So he caught this 19.5, and I want to show you this thing. This thing was a donkey, man. Look at that.
Wow. Look at the girth on that girl. Man.
So we didn't.
He's got belly and booty.
Right. We didn't catch a lot of fish, but there were some big ones caught. We averaged just about 17 inches that day per fish. So
looks like those big females are just starting to feed up and get put on the weight and get ready to move up.
I hope so, man. I tell you, it's been a rough spring for me. Fishing hasn't been great for me. The weather, frankly, just kind of sucks right now, and I don't know what's it been like down there.
It sucked here too, but we had a frost last night or early this morning, and I think that's it though. I think we're done with the cold weather. We got like lows in the 50s and 60s coming up for overnight lows. So I think for this part of the country, we can kiss winter's butt goodbye. Adios, amigo. I hate winter. I am not a cold weather person at all. I don't know how you guys live up there in Canada and deal with all that stuff.
Canada, come on, man, you're killing me.
Yep, the Arctic North, is that what it's called?
Yeah. Well, you got to talk to my wife about that one, because I'm right there with you, and I'm like, get me out of here. And but I go, we should move to Missouri, and she goes, Missouri? There's nothing but hillbillies down there. I don't know.
There's nothing wrong with hillbillies.
That's right. That's what I say. Anyway, Josh, before we get into talking about MoYak and the All-American and all kinds of stuff, how did you end up? What's your background? How did you end up running MoYak? How did the All-American come about? Just give us a brief history of what happened.
Brief? Okay, that's going to be challenging, but Well, I started out competing back in 2016 in MoYak, and after my first tournament, I won big bass at my very first tournament on Table Rock, actually, and just fell in love with the sport. I was fishing out of a 12-foot sit-in Old Town kayak. I mean, I had 2 rods and one Plano 3700 tackle box with me, and that was it. And still loved it. Just dove head in, knew right away I had to upgrade my kayak, and so moved into the Feel Free Lure 13.5. I've been fishing out of that ever since. I love that kayak. Started traveling all over. I fished, well, back then all you had was really KBF, and they were hosted by clubs. KBF didn't really put on their own events. The clubs put it on, and it was actually a KBF sanctioned event. So there was tons of tournaments all over the country. So I was just hitting as many as I could, and I started just learning from different clubs, seeing how different tournament directors were doing stuff. And then when I had the opportunity to take over MoYak in 2019 was my first year as tournament director for MoYak, I just kind of threw everything together that I'd already learned from traveling, and from these other tournament directors. I saw something I thought was a good idea. I adopted it, a rule I thought was a cool idea that this guy did, or something that this guy did. It's kind of brought everything together. So I think that my experience competing helped me, learn how to create a good event for kayak anglers, because I know what to create that I would like. And so I've kind of built MoYak around what would I like to do if I was still competing. I would love MoYak right now. MoYak's awesome, and I can't fish it.
You run a great series down there. We absolutely loved it. And when we started Central States, of course, you were one of the first people we reached out to and said, "Hey, Josh, let's talk about this," because we always admired what you'd done and respected what you'd done, and really wanted to just kind of mirror that with our own club. And I don't know, we try hard, man, but there's nothing like the original, I guess. But so you did MoYak. That first year you did MoYak, how many members did you have in 2019?
Maybe 60. Yeah. I think we averaged probably around 40, maybe 40 guys per tournament, 35 maybe, somewhere in that area. We had a really good group of core anglers, and I think that really helped us grow once we started getting things going. So, I think most of those guys are still fishing with us today too.
Yeah, that's awesome. And how many members do you have this year for MoYak?
As of today, we have 190 paid memberships.
Holy cow.
For MoYak.
Man, you're gonna have to order some more hats next year.
I don't know. Next year they could be like $20 a piece, the way everything's going in this country.
You'll get a good discount. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
all right.
You've done great work for us, especially with this hat.
Thanks, man. So a couple years go by, MoYak, things going good with MoYak. You're like, hey, let's add some more responsibility and add a whole nother series.
What was I thinking? Yeah, I mean the idea for the All-American Classic was brought about whenever the old TOC went away down at Lake Fork in Texas. That was something that a group of us liked to fish. We looked forward to qualifying for that. It was the top 5 in AOI points from every club. Got an invite to go down to Lake Fork, and they put on a really great event down there, and it was something that we really loved looking forward to. And then it went away, and the TOC kind of changed its, I don't know, Hobie got the name, but they kind of changed it. It's their championship, but it's not the same anymore. So there was that void there that was left. There was no club championship per se, really. And Gary at Everhart's, he approached me one day, and he was like, Josh, how can we really want to get more involved with the kayak community. We want to put something big on, and how can we do that and make something big happen here in the Midwest and here for Truman Lake? And I was like, I got an idea. We can bring back the old TOC. We can make it a club versus club format. We can, make it really welcoming for clubs in a small feel, no pressure, and make it a good time. And we went for it. And it seems like the idea is really popular. People really like it. Last year was a big hit. Year before was even bigger, and we're expecting now that we're moving into the spring for 2023. We think once we get to that event, it's going to be huge.
Yeah, it last year was my first one for the classic, and absolutely had a blast. And it was cool to see, you know, so many anglers together from all over the place, and it was just a really good time, man. That being said, I'm looking forward to next spring and fishing some springtime down there on Truman, and hopefully that bike gets a little bit better than it was in the fall, and you know.
Yeah, I mean, with weather conditions being perfect, which we know they never freaking are, but you know,
Right.
that time of the year on Truman, they're on beds or they're moving on beds. So that should be perfect time to be hitting that lake.
So here in 2 weeks, you guys, so with the change from going from the fall classic to the spring, you guys are holding the qualifier in 2 weeks on Truman, right?
Yeah, and was it April 29th and April 29th and 30th? Yeah, April 29th and 30th. It's a 2-day event. The top 50% of the field will qualify. This is going to be the last open qualifier we had. The last couple of years, we've had an open qualifier tournament before the main event, so to where guys can have an extra chance to get in. We're going to do away with that after this year. We're going to go ahead and put this event there on spring and let everybody get a chance to see what Truman's going to fish like at that time of the year. And then the top 50% of the field will qualify. We're still going to have a ton of giveaways, product raffles, hourly big bass, all the cool stuff that we had at the classic. We're still going to have at the qualifier, and maybe scale down just a tad bit, but we're still going to have all that stuff there. And then that'll set us up for the next one. And then moving forward, the only way you're going to qualify for the All-American Classic is through your club. It'll be the top 10, top 12, however you look at it, in your club's AOI race.
Gotcha. So what are entry fees for 2 weeks in Truman for the qualifier? Sorry.
That's a good question. I didn't write that one down.
I'll pull it up here in a second. But,
I think it's 150.
Okay.
I'm not actually. That's a good question.
What? How many anglers are you anticipating having down at Truman for this?
It's $125 entry fee.
Okay.
$125 is the entry fee, and then there's the $10 trash pot, which is optional if guys want to get in on that. And there's no big bass to buy into this year. We've done away with that in the All-American Series and with MoYak, to where when you sign up for a tournament, your big bass pot's already included in the entry fee. Right. Makes things simpler, and everybody's in the big bass pot, and you know how much the big bass pot's going to be.
Yeah, that's something that we adopted this year as well. It just makes
sense, doesn't it? Yeah.
Well, and hopefully exactly. It keeps, you know, maybe a guy who's not having a good day, hopefully it keeps him on the lake till the very end, right? Because you never know, man. I mean, I've seen it plenty of times where, you know, you got 2 more casts left in you before that bell rings, and you know, someone will hook into a monster. So. See,
we got a question on here about the qualifier, asking if it's open on LOZ, and I've been asked that question a lot lately. Yeah, there it is. Yes, but only a small portion of Lake of the Ozarks, down to mile marker 65, which is at the Wigwam public access point. That's pretty much your boundary. So between the dam at Warsaw and the Wigwam access, that's the only time you can be on, or the only area you can be on LOZ. So that's the very far upper end of Lake of the Ozarks on the riverside. So that's not too far from Clinton. But we are opening up, but just to that area. Any other part of Lake of the Ozarks is not allowed. But from the dam to mile marker 65, you're good to go.
So what about next spring? Are you opening up all of LOZ?
No, it'll stay the same. It'll stay the same, or we might just go back to only Truman. We're kind of see how it plays out this year and see if it works or not. I'm not really sure. I'm not really a big fan of it personally myself. I think we should just all be on Truman, but we'll see how it works out and make adjustments.
Yeah. So I lost my thought there. With the qualifier, the top 50% are going to qualify, and then through the clubs can also qualify their top 10 in their Angler of the Year series, right?
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
And you want to get as many people from your club in the tournament as possible. Excuse me, because that gives you a better odds of winning the club championship. Because that's part of the classic as well, is the club versus club aspect. Not only is it an individual tournament, but you've got clubs competing for that honor of top club in the country. First year it was Iowa, and then last year it was MoYak, and so this year we're not really sure who it's going to be, but we're going to take the top 5 scores from the dudes in your club, and we'll combine those, and that's going to be your club score. So if you've got 15, 20 people in your club competing in this tournament, that's going to give you a better chance of winning because you only need the best 5. If your club is not that big, which is understandable, and you're only sending 5 anglers, then every one of those guys' score is going to count. You don't really have any coals, if that makes sense. So the more guys you can bring and represent your club, the better your odds are of winning that coveted best club in the country title, really, is what it is.
So, so for guys that fish multiple clubs, like we have guys here that fish both us and then they fish the sticks as well. Do they need to declare what club they're fishing for beforehand? Right?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yep, you'll do that at check-in. Whenever anglers come to check in, it'll be there on the roster. Whenever they sign in and get their identifier cards and all that, you'll declare your club when you check in.
Perfect.
And you can, and if you're fishing for multiple clubs, you can choose whichever one you want.
Right.
It's up to you.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess that's pretty important stuff to know, especially for roll downs and that sort of thing, as clubs are sending their invites out. So
that's why the last open qualifier is really big deal, because if you've got 5 or 6 guys that qualify in the open qualifier, and then at the end of the year they're in your top 10 in AOI points, and that rolls down, so then you can roll down 5 more spots to people that weren't at the qualifier.
Right. So let's talk real quick about clubs Angler of the Years and what you guys do for a club's Angler of the Year as well.
What about as far as how we determine our Angler of the Year?
No. I mean for like so our club for Central States, our Angler of the Year, there's some benefits that they get when it comes to fishing the All-American, right?
Maybe.
Or is that changing?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the Sportsman of the Year award. You can award that.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant. Sportsman of the Year.
I thought that's what I kind of thought that you was confusing me there for a second, but the Sportsman of the Year award, the tournament or the club can vote on it, or I suppose the tournament director can choose. I guess it's up to the club. I'm not going to set rules for what clubs can do, but a club can appoint a Sportsman of the Year, the guy they feel like is worthy of representing their club, even if they didn't have a good season on the water. They will get a 50% discount after their entry fee into the classic. So, I mean, that's why I was saying top 10 or top 12, because technically the way we have it set up, which I also get asked about this all the time too, it's top 10 in AOI, but the tournament director gets 2 more spots. That tournament director can do whatever he wants with those. The tournament director can keep them and go himself, or he can give them away. Like I give mine away in MoYak, so we do top 12. I just throw out the top 2 out there. So you can do it that way, or you can appoint someone, and then you've got your Sportsman of the Year award. So technically, per trail series, you can be sending 13 guys from your club.
Gotcha. That's awesome. So, you said that you gave your director spot away, right? For MoYak.
Mm-hmm.
Are you competing anymore? Are you fishing tournaments anymore?
I don't think so. No, I think I'm about done. I mean, if something comes along that I went and fished a pit tournament over in Kansas a couple of weeks ago, but no, I don't have anything on my schedule to fish this year. I just don't have the time for it, really.
Yeah. Well, I imagine between the All-American Series, which we'll jump into here in a second, and MoYak, there's probably not a lot of time to fish during the season.
No, every time I try, I'm like, oh, okay, I can do it this time. I'm going to go out, I can run this, and I can fish. I can do. It's a total disaster. I just can't. I'm not that good of a multitasker, I guess. You got to have time on the water to be successful. and I spend all my time in front of a desk anymore instead of being out on the water. So I just threw in the towel. Maybe someday I can come back and
Yeah.
hand off the baton to someone else and let them run things, and I can just go back to fishing. That's my wish, really.
I want to ask you a little bit about that, just because, um, you know, we're a small enough club where I can fish and then still do things, you know, run the tournaments and that sort of thing. But um, yeah, I told my wife the other day, like, yeah, I want to go out there and I'm going to be competitive, but you know, I also enjoy like getting everybody together, just you know, like everybody celebrating at the end of the tournament. Like that's really kind of what drives me on this thing. Like, you know,
It is fun. I mean, I'm not complaining at all. I do miss competing, but I also enjoy putting on a good event. Whenever everybody comes together, and then I
yeah,
see guys like laughing and smiling and taking pictures and really excited and happy at the award ceremony. I mean, I that's as good to me as catching a big fish. I fucking love that shit. Oh, sorry, but when guys have a good time, man, I like it, and that's a success. That's a victory to me. Whenever a tournament goes off smooth, there's no problems, and everyone has a great time. I like that. That's a great time for me too.
yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I'm right there with you. So now let's talk a little bit about the All American Series, and that will bring us to Table Rock. So. The All American Series this year, you guys really are covering a pretty big piece of the middle of the country, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
And are
Texas
you in?
to Canada.
Yeah, man. And you and Tyler just kind of split those up. Who's going to what? And,
Yeah, he's covering the northern side, so it's less of a drive for him, and I'm taking the southern side. So we kind of divvied it up, so it's not too much of a drive for us because some of these tournaments are way out there for us.
yeah. So I want to ask you, Josh, about what are your plans to grow this thing? I mean, are you guys going to stick to just a Midwest regional thing? I mean, do you have some long term idea of where you'd like to go with this?
I'm happy just the way it is. I would like to just keep it here in the Midwest, and I like that we kind of went over to Kentucky a little bit, and maybe even Tennessee, but I'd like to keep it between the Rockies and the Mississippi River. I think that's kind of where our heart and soul is of the series. So I think it's going to stay right around in there. We may dip around a little bit, but have no desire to go big, go national. It's just trying to, like I did with MoYak, just create something that I feel like guys want and
Yeah.
provide that opportunity.
Well, so now the conversation is taking us somewhere else before we get to Table Rock, because I do want to spend a lot of time talking about Table Rock, but I want to ask you about the high stakes series that you guys are starting next year. Can you kind of give us the details on that, or what your vision is for that?
Yeah, actually, my idea and what I envisioned was just a tournament with a higher entry fee. Okay, let's just say that an entry fee for a tournament is $150. Well, clubs, local guys don't really want to pay that much money. So our entry fees are what, around $50, $45, usually on average for a club tournament. Well, some guys want to win a little bit more money and are willing to stick a little bit more money into it. So I felt like, why not have an optional side pot where if guys want to pay $150 to sign up for a tournament, then they can get a bigger payout. But at the same time, it's not going to alienate the guys that can't afford that. So we can't just make all the tournaments have $100 entry fee, because some guys just can't do that. Payouts would be killer, but it's not really feasible. So I felt like this was a happy medium. It's optional. So what it is, it's $100 side pot. People can select it when they sign up on Tourney X, just like we used to do for the big bass pot. It was optional. You just click on that box and pay for it. And then that goes into that side pot, the jackpot. And that jackpot will be split up 3 ways and awarded to the top 3 guys that bought into the jackpot. So you don't necessarily even have to win the tournament or do well. You just have to do better than everybody that bought into the jackpot. Gotcha. So it's almost like another little tournament in a tournament. It's where, you can double down. If you're feeling really confident and you think you're on the fish, we'll throw in an extra $100 and have a chance to take home even more money. We're up to like $1,100 in that pot for Table Rock right now. So that's going to get split up to where, 55% is going to go to first place. So, that's over $500, $600, somewhere around there already. That's going to go on top of what they win or originally. So just more ways to win some money that I think is going to be cool. I thought it was a cool idea. We'll see how it works out. This is the first year of trying it out. This is the first tournament doing it, so we'll see.
So with Table Rock this weekend, we've got MoYak, we've got the All-American, we've got Natural States, right? You can fish all three of those.
Yep, all three.
And before you and I came on, you were talking about the team tournament. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, MoYak has a 2-man buddy team tournament at every one of their trail events. So guys can buddy up, and then their fish scores get combined. So their best 5 gets combined for a total of 10. So each team's best 10 fish. Tourney X tracks it all. So it's just like a buddy tournament. Like, I don't know if anybody's come from the boat side of things, but you know the old bass boat buddy tournaments. You join in and you go weigh in your 5 fish together. But kind of the same concept. So that's for MoYak members only, but I've waived the MoYak membership requirement for this tournament. So anybody coming from NSKA or from the All-American that's competing, if you want to sign up for the MoYak team tournament, you can buddy up with somebody, create your team name, create your team, and have a chance to win even more money. Winner takes all of the pot, unless we get over 20 teams, and then it'll be first and second. But well, we're at like 16 or 17 teams right now, so we might get over 20 teams. And that's going to be a decent little pot too, that you and your buddy can win. And the winners just split the pot, so you and your buddy get halves of whatever you win. So
gotcha.
Just another opportunity. There's a lot going on this weekend if anybody really wanted to go into it.
So what's the buy-in for the team event?
$33.
$33
per person. Per person, yeah.
Yeah. Why not $35?
Because I'm trying to get even numbers for payouts. $33, you're looking at a $3 PayPal fee and a $5 Tourney X fee. So once you remove PayPal and Tourney X fees, you're left with $25. So it's $25 a person is going into the pot. So that's how I calculate that. Trying to keep it simple. That's why the entry fees are weird numbers this year. I'm trying to compensate for the PayPal and Tourney X fees to make them even numbers.
Yeah. PayPal fees are killer, man.
Stupid. I paid them like $8,000 last year. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So, all right, Table Rock, man. Last year, you guys MoYak had 111 anglers, I believe, on there. I think.
Yep, that was our biggest tournament ever.
Yeah, Top Spot won it with 92 inches. And was that April also, or when was that?
Exact same date. It was April 24th last year, so it was almost identical timing as what we're going to have this weekend. Gotcha.
So let's talk a little bit about the weather and water temps and what's going on down there with the lake. We've been pretty dang cold up here in Nebraska. Water just doesn't seem to be warming up. We were, mid to high 40s this weekend. What are they looking at Table Rock right now? Do you know?
Well, I haven't been down there, so I can't say for sure, but I've been hearing, I think the water temperature is right around 60, 62 degrees. It depends on what part of the lake you're on. We've got some really warm nights coming up this week and some hot days, so that's really going to kick that temperature up there. I think by the time tournament time rolls around, the whole lake's going to be in the 60s as far as water temperature goes. Weather, Saturday is looking a little breezy, but warm and nice. And really nice weather actually, but could be breezy. It's hard to say with these weather apps. They're all over the place with different reports. But Sunday there is a chance for storms. There's a front coming through, so that could even trigger the fish into biting good too. So
yeah, we'll see. I keep hoping. I've been watching the weather app all week, and one day it
keeps changing.
Yeah, it tells me 40-mile-an-hour winds. The next day it's 8-mile-an-hour winds. It just.
I know it's all over the place.
I hope we're closer to that 8-mile-per-hour winds than that 40. I guess
no doubt.
The good thing about Table Rock is you can find a cove to kind of hide in, but
yeah, there's lots of wind blocks and wind breaks on Table Rock. Just find a bluff walls you can get behind and high, steep banks that you can get down under, and they'll block the wind pretty good. So you just gotta be mindful of the wind direction when you're doing your map study and figuring out where you're going to be, and just that's what I always do is I just beeline for those banks that got the wind breaks whenever it's bad like that.
Yeah. So captain's meeting's Friday night. And it's not really a captain's meeting, but more of just a board check in, get your identifier, that sort of thing, right?
Yep, just kind of a grab and go kind of thing. We'll briefly go over some stuff. If anybody, this is their first tournament, then we'll have a talk. You know, what I won't let you go on out there and not knowing anything. But yeah, if you just want to come by and grab your card, do your board check, and go, that's cool. That's for the All-American. If MoYak guys want to come there and hang out too, that's fine. We're going to be at the Indian Point Marina Pavilion. It's where we've had our table rock tournaments the last few years there. That's where we're going to do the captain's meeting. It'll be 7 p.m. Friday. But that's not where we're going to do the awards at. So I hope nobody goes back there Saturday and Sunday for awards, because we're going to be in Branson for the awards.
Okay. And
two separate places.
For the awards. So where are we at for the awards?
Awards, we're going to be at the Branson Recplex.
Okay.
They've got some really nice new facilities there we're going to try out, and they got some indoor facilities, plenty of parking, seating. It's really nice. I think it's going to be a big improvement for us once we get there. So all the award ceremonies are going to be at the Branson Recplex.
Gotcha. And that's at right around
Pavilion
5 o'clock.
D.
Okay.
Yes, at 5 o'clock. Yep, everybody's got until 5 o'clock for the awards. And if you can't make the awards and you need to go home, that's fine too, even if you're a winner. We really want everybody there at the awards, but I'm not going to make that a requirement, so it is optional. But Coca-Cola is going to be on hand Saturday for the MoYak Awards. They're going to be handing out free samples, so anybody in the MoYak side of things, it's always a good event. We're going to be raffling off a bunch of ton stuff, free giveaways too. Got hundreds of dollars of product to give away for the MoYak tournament on Saturday, so anybody fishing Saturdays, welcome to come to the awards. And then we'll be at the same place again on Sunday for the All-American Awards. We're going to be giving away the lithium battery, Yak Attack gift cards. So there's some stuff to be had there from coming to the awards.
You guys always do it right, man, for sure. So if you're like me and you're probably not gonna win, you might as well go try to win a gift card.
Yeah, it's always fun to come hang out and talk to everybody too, especially as being this is MoYak's first tournament of the year, so no one's been able to get together since last year, so that's always fun.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, so we're going to see a lot of MoYak guys down there. We're going to see a lot of natural state guys down there. We'll probably see a number of guys from Kansas come over. But you're also going to see about a dozen of us from Nebraska.
I heard that rumor that there's going to be an invasion from the north. You guys coming down. It's going to be fun. This will be a chance for you guys to get out of the ice, won't it? We've been fishing frozen water forever.
Yeah, we can put away our auger and our ice huts and go out and fish open water. So
I don't know. Get out of your igloos.
Maybe, you watch what Andy Moore did down there in Texas, and maybe we need some crappy weather on Table Rock this weekend, so Nebraska can come down there.
No doubt. Money. Yeah, that's what he did. Put the whooping on us.
Yeah, I haven't talked to Andy. I don't know if he's going to be there, but I have a feeling he'll be there for sure. Yeah.
It should be a really big payout for being a club tournament. Even the All-American tournament, the club side of NSKA and MoYak. If you're triple dipping, man, you could, if you do well, you could walk away with, I couldn't even imagine, $5,000 maybe.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Top three in each event. Yeah, you could win thousands.
Yeah,
I know MoYak's going to pay out over $1,000 for first place for sure. So All-American will too. I think they're already up to over $1,000 for first place. So
one thing I wanted to ask you about, I think there's this perception out there that you have to have the super rigged out kayak to go compete in these things. And I know that's not necessarily the history, especially in MoYak. And, you've had some guys in sit-in kayaks, no electronics, paddles, absolutely dominate down there. And we're talking on big, huge bodies of water. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We have many anglers in MoYak that are still basic paddlers, maybe basic electronics or no electronics. Well, we got a two-time, three-time angler of the year has been in a sit-in for our kayak for years. Just now got an upgrade to a small sit-on, but still no electronics, no motor. Just takes his rods out there and just goes out and hammers them.
Right.
I honestly think I was a better angler before I got a motor because my motor made me move past stuff when I maybe didn't think I wanted to fish or make a run when I should be fishing. When I was paddling, when you're paddling, you really have no choice. Just you fish everything. I just would work my way down a shoreline and just paddle, fish, and then work my way back, and you fished everything. So I think there's some advantages to that. You really pick apart the water better. You slow down a little more. You do your research a little better because you know you're contained to a smaller area than if you had a motor. So there's definitely advantages to not having a motor. It's going to suck in the wind, yeah, but you can still go out there and catch fish and cash checks.
Yeah, for sure. And I would say, so many guys are making the switch over to live scope, and so many guys spend half the day looking at their freaking live scope and not fishing, man. And I get it. It helps to be able to see the fish, but not if you're not making casts, right?
Yeah, that's a whole new world that's just changing everything. I don't have one, so I'm not part of that crowd yet, but I sure wouldn't turn one down if I had a chance to get one. It looks like some pretty cool technology, but I think we could be seeing some changes coming into tournaments in the future because of it. I guess there's a line as when do you have too much technology, or is there such a thing, or is it just another tool? There's a lot of debates to be had there that I think are going to happen in the future.
I agree. It'll be interesting to see when that happens because, I've kind of heard some chatter, nothing serious, but some clubs saying, oh, yeah, maybe we shouldn't allow live scope. Well, it's a little bit late for that, really. So many guys have invested, a ton of money into this stuff that it would be hard to go back now and say, sorry, you can't have live scope.
Yeah, pretty hard to patrol too and go through and check everyone's transducer, before a tournament. That's kind of foolish.
Yeah. I don't know where you draw that, but I draw that line. But I think there is a point where it's too much technology. We've talked a little bit in our club about having a throwing a tournament with no electronics at all. Just get back to the kind of the roots of things and just get out there and go fishing.
I've had that thought too. I would like to maybe someday, if we get big enough numbers here in MoYak, go into a paddle only division and split guys up into paddle only and electric powered kayaks. I kind of think that may be the future of the sport once we grow it to a certain level to where we can have enough guys to put on events in each one. Can't really split everybody up right now. It would kind of just ruin everything because we're still growing. But I can see in a couple of years where we could have a paddle only division.
Yeah, you could really
prop driven division.
You could really do something like what you're doing with that $100 buy-in, right? For guys who are paddling only, throw in an extra $50, and we're gonna pick the top 3 from guys who are paddling.
There you go. That's a good idea too.
Yeah, I like that.
I think that
a club like us, we're not big enough to do that because we got 20-25 guys showing up to a tournament. So, but a club like MoYak, where maybe you're going to have 25 guys paddling, then it makes sense.
Yeah. So. I've thought about it. I've given it some thought. Maybe I would like to go that direction in a couple of years, but I don't know if that's what everybody else feels like, or I guess we'll see if we get enough numbers. But yeah, like you said, if 25 to 30 guys, that would be enough for a good event.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that. I think you could push that even, maybe not even on MoYak, but maybe you could include something like that with the All-American, just to get a little bit more interest. I mean, there's going to be some guys who are, paddling 55,000 acre lakes who do quite well. Throw them a bone and see how they do. But,
yeah.
What do you think it's going to
I
take
think
to
there's
win?
something there.
Yeah. What do you think it's going to take to win Table Rock this weekend?
Man, I think a lot of fish are going to be caught. I can tell you that for sure. If we time it just right, man, I really think we've timed it perfectly, that these warm nights that are coming up this week are going to move them all up. They're all going to be right on the shoreline. That's my thoughts. If that's the case, then yeah, it's going to be it's going to take over 90 inches to win, maybe 95. Last year we had a couple guys over 90, but there were 75 anglers that had limits. I mean, everybody that was fishing was just jacking fish. Yeah, so can you imagine? That's huge. So everybody caught. I think we caught like 650 some fish for the tournament. So it was a lot of fish were caught, and so I think that's going to happen this time too. I think it'll be a fun time. I think there's going to be a lot of fish caught, and then somebody's going to get one of them big girls too.
111 last year. Maybe you'll hit 120 this year, right?
That'd be nice. I'd like to break the record. That would be pretty cool. This is the place to do it.
Yeah. So where are you sitting for registration numbers for the All-American side of that tournament?
I think for the All-American, we're right around 40 right now. But these guys have been habitually signing up at the very last minute all year. Yeah. So I think that's going to grow some more. It may not be as big as I originally thought it was, but I think we'll get over 50, 60.
Yeah.
60 guys in there at least. Maybe more. They've always surprised me at each event. There's a whole bunch that sign up at the very last second. So we'll see. But it'll be enough to have a decent payout. It's already enough for $1,000 to first place. So I think that's what guys like.
Yeah.
That's some lunch money.
That's a good weekend for sure.
And if there's not that many people there, then that's a better opportunity for the guys to sign up to get some good Angler of the Year points and better odds to cash a check.
Yeah. I haven't fished a lot of the All-American series or the MoYak, but I do like to get down to Table Rock every year. It's just such a pretty lake, and everybody's always been so nice down there. The camping's great if you're camping. Great facilities around there. Even back when we had awards at Indian Point, at the pavilion there, that still worked great. Of course, you were serving us all some good food back then. Do you still do that with MoYak or no?
I'm trying. We're getting a little too big. It's kind of hard to cater to 100 people while you're trying to run a tournament at the same time. So I'm gonna do what I can. We might have some pizzas at a few events.
There you go. I like that. So, hey, what do you think of Hobie selling out their events in 6 minutes, man?
That's insane. I mean, they've established themselves as the best series in the country. So anybody that's really serious about this, they definitely want to get in on that. And then all the hype that's been put up on the registration deadline, I think that kind of fueled the fire a little bit in the way it was pushed in some of the other groups and the way it was promoted. Like it was just a fire rush to sign up really quick. You had to get your name on that roster, and they filled up really fast. But they're seeing a little bit of a backlash of that now because everybody got all hyped up to sign up, but then they can't go to the tournament. They're just having dozens and dozens of people that are backing out and wanting refunds and can't go because they got in on the hype and signed up real quick, but didn't think about it too much. But that just goes with it. I think it's a wonderful thing, man, for the sport. It's awesome to see. It just shows you how many guys are committed to traveling and fishing these bigger level events.
Yeah, for sure. And
hopefully it keeps on growing.
Yeah, I haven't been myself to one of the Hobie events, but AJ seems to be right on top of everything and does a great job with that. And, I think
top notch.
Even for guys running small clubs like Central States, there's some good things to learn from kind of paying attention to what they're doing there. And we'll never be a Hobie, and don't want to be, but we just want to run good tournaments. And I think you guys, of course, down there at MoYak, All-American, and guys like AJ, are good people to look up to when doing this sort of thing. So,
Yeah, I've looked up to AJ and asked. I reached out to him for advice in several situations, and he's always been there to help. I think he's the best tournament director in the country, hands down. There's a lot to learn. You can learn a lot from the way he runs that series for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Josh, there's a lot that we can learn from watching you too, man, down there in Missouri. I don't know, man.
Thanks.
I've fished enough tournaments that I've kind of seen the way that different clubs have done things, and you guys have always been great down there, and you've always been right on top of it. Everything seems to run smoothly now. That I'm running my own series, I know that things probably are seeming a little hectic sometimes in your head, but you guys
to say the least.
So
I got a pretty good system down now. It's not as bad as it used to be. I used to go nuts. I used to just lose it, and there's so much overwhelming stress. But I've kind of got a system now, so it's all good.
Yeah, you should share some of those secrets with the rest of us. Now
You got to pay me for them. I'll sell them to you. Those cost me a bunch of gray hairs. You see all this gray hair? Those come from coming up with these ideas. Dealing with this
See,
stuff.
I got a few of those myself, man.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, happens quick. So, well, Josh, we appreciate you taking time to join us tonight, man. We look forward to getting down there and seeing you this weekend. And I don't know, I know you guys. MoYak has a bet with Natural States, right?
Yes, we do. We're doing a little border battle between them. Top 3 anglers are going to have their scores combined for a team total, and then the winning team will get, each of those 3 guys will get a free entry fee into the tournament of the losing teams. So if MoYak wins, then those 3 guys are going to get a free entry fee into any NSKA regular event, or vice versa. But we know who's going to win. It won't be Arkansas.
They got some hammers down there, man.
They do, but so does Missouri.
Yeah.
And see, I'm all competitive, and I'm not even in the dang tournament. It's just something you can't get away from competing sometimes, even when you're not competing. I don't know.
How about this? How about Nebraska sneaks in there and claims the top 3 spots? And then you guys.
Nebraska, huh?
Yeah. You never know, man. Could happen. We got Marty Hughes, we got Chris Longshore, we got Nate Gloria coming down.
True. It's starting to sound like the All-American Classic now. We're just going to have all the states come down and form up teams. That's like what the Classic is.
I mean, it would.
We might get a little side bet going on. We could probably work out a little side bet. I don't think anybody in MoYak could back down. Them guys like to gamble. They'll be ready to throw some money down on them.
Well, let me talk to the guys, and I'll get with you and see if we can pull something together, because we certainly got some confidence. Not me, the rest of the guys from Nebraska.
all the more fun.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, listen, we'll be down on late Thursday night. We'll see you on Friday night. We appreciate you hanging out with us tonight, and thanks for all you do, man. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, and we'll see you, everybody down at Table Rock.
All right, sounds good, man. Take care. Have a good night.
See ya.